You need to de-risk and go and buy income with your Forex income. I love the Asian session because capital is the golden ticket. Everything is technically free in this world.
Taxation
Doesn't make sense. You outgrow people because your thinking changes. Comfort is the enemy of progress. Then go and buy an asset. I'm living a vacation.
Welcome back to another episode of On the Couch. We are in beautiful Mauritius and our couch is outside today. Hopefully there'll be no drizzle, no rain. We're going to be talking about the Forex lifestyle today. We are joined by a little family. So in terms of Forex lifestyle, what advice would you give to an up-and-coming profitable trader? Something that could change his life, steer him a different direction.
Don't buy into the traditional Forex lifestyle. I think treat it like a business. Run a profit and loss spreadsheet on it. Give yourself 20% of what you earn for the year, just like in a normal business, and even that's quite high. Take the 80% that you make, scale that in the markets to a point where you've got a significant capital base, and once you have that capital base, you've bought your golden ticket. Because capital is the golden ticket. Once you have capital behind you, you've got freedom. Just because you can trade doesn't mean you've got freedom. You need the capital too. And then once you start making over a certain amount of money, how much money do you need? I mean, $20,000 a month is a lot of money for the average person to live. The average family doesn't need more than $20,000 a month to live. You can live an incredible life on $20,000. So if you're making $100,000 a month, pull 80,000 and go and buy income to replace the 20,000 you're earning out of the Forex market, so that you can then get to a point where you don't have to trade. I'm not saying you shouldn't trade. I'm saying get to a point where you can take better trades, less pressure. If you don't trade for a month because you want to take a month off, like this period in the last couple of weeks, I've been focusing on helping my community trade. And I haven't been trading as a result because it's very difficult to teach people while you and trade while you're distracted. And so I took the active decision to stay out of the markets, but I can afford to do that. And so I think it's important to what I call secure the bag. Secure the bag, get the money, go buy income. The way I think of it is every 10 million I make out of the Forex market is $1 million in income that I'm buying for the year. So I know if I take 10 million, I put it into a hard asset, it's going to give me about $1 million, 10% return on average, give or take, right? So I bought $1 million's worth of income. So how many millions worth of income do I want? That's my goal. I've got to go after it. So that would be my advice to young traders. Get out of the hype, get out of the flashing nice watches and all that crap. It is nice to have. I mean, it is really nice to have, but don't make that the goal. Make that the result of the goal. The goal is go get the money.
You moved from running businesses to Forex trading, but now you're doing Forex trading and running businesses. You've added another layer.
Yeah.
Why aren't you just letting the businesses go?
Well, I have let some of the businesses go. I've let the businesses go that I don't entirely love, that I've enjoyed building but no longer have a passion for. And there probably are one or two more that need to go. But if I had to just trade and do nothing but trading, I would be bored out of my mind. As much as I love trading, it's not enough meat for me to hang on to. I need to be building something other than just taking money from the market. Because that's all trading is, taking money from the market. I'm a builder. I'm a problem solver. And I think trading is a perfect complement to that. And every business I build going forward will probably be in the capital markets. I am done building businesses in the spaces, in the fintech space. I've had a 30-year career in that space, and I'm done.
You work from home. You always have. So Forex hasn't really changed that for you. Has the structure of your day changed in any way since you started trading Forex?
Not really. maybe it's just that I'm a bit more focused around the specific trading sessions. That I'm a little bit more rigid in terms of the way I spend my time. But I've always been early to rise, as you know. 3 o'clock anywhere in the world, I'm awake. So no, I don't really think there's been much of a change for me. I think I've always been kind of allergic to going into an office in the traditional sense. I don't see the sense in going and sitting underneath a fluorescent light to connect to an internet terminal. So that's never made sense to me. So I've always worked from home. I find that there's so much more productive time in working from home, and trading is just slotted in perfectly with that for me. I think there's been no adjustment whatsoever. I don't know. Maybe you've seen a difference. I don't know.
I do feel like you structured your day better in terms of balancing your time. We previously, before Forex, we never got to see you. Despite you sitting in the other room, you were an 18-hour day person.
I think it's probably a valid point, because with running businesses, there's really no end to a day. I mean, that task list, it never ends. As you finish one thing, the next thing is on there. I think probably that's something I haven't thought about. With Forex, there's a definite end to the day for me. If I'm trading the Asian session, once the Asian session's over, I'm done trading for the day. If I'm trading the London session, once it's over, I'm done for the day. So, yeah, I mean, probably that is the one thing. I mean, I haven't thought about it, but there's a definite end in the day for sure.
Is there a specific country that you prefer trading from? A geographical location that you'd prefer?
Well, look, I mean, this is highly dependent on my personal preferences.
Right. Well, which session do you trade?
So I love the Asian session. For me, there's definitely something going here with the Asian thing, because, you know, Asian session, Asian wife, Asian cars, and I'm the only Caucasian in the
Caucasian.
Caucasian. So, I mean, I definitely prefer trading the Asian session. For me, that is the most stable session. I do enjoy the London session if there's volume, and on occasion the New York session. But my preference is, if you had to say to me, choose one session to trade, it's always going to be the Asian session. And because of that, I want to be in time zones that are closely aligned with that. So why are you laughing at me?
Andrew's just
I didn't even
bobbing
see
around.
So because of that, I am always going to want to be in that time zone. I don't necessarily have to be in the exact time zone, but close to it. So, like, for example, Mauritius is 2 hours ahead of South Africa. To trade the Asian session in South Africa, I have to wake up at about 2:30 to be ready to trade at 3, right? So between 2 and 3, I'm getting up. 3 o'clock, I'm trading. Here, I can get up at 4 and be ready to trade at 5. And then obviously later in the year, when we're traveling in Asia itself, then we're trading that 8 a.m. open there, which is like the ideal. That's the ideal time zone to be in. But the thing that I love about trading is you can literally, you can structure your day around your trading session. And I think for anybody who's looking for consistency, the Asian session is the one to go after. I think, like, the time we spent in Mauritius, it's been for me like, it's been a time where I've reconnected with myself, and things are just a little bit slower. There's a lot more of family vibe and a family structure, and I think that plays into my trading, because I do want to get to spend time with the kids on the beach every day. I do want to go do things with my kids, whereas when we were back in South Africa, you know, wanting to go do something involved walking around a security complex. Here there's a chance to explore. So I think there's a lot of reasons that have driven me to really love Mauritius as a geographic location, but also because of all of the other stuff. I don't know if that makes sense.
Everything fits into your plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't realize until we landed here how sleep deprived I've been. I mean, the first couple of weeks, I've never slept so dead in my life before.
But the benefit of trading is, once you become profitable, you can, if this isn't the country of your choice, you can just hop around and find the one that you do prefer.
Well, I think that's probably the message that I'm trying to preach to everyone, and I can come across as incredibly arrogant when I try and get this point across. But trading is the only thing I know that when you truly unlock it, you realize that you are not limited by geographic location. Your age, your gender doesn't matter. Your political affiliation doesn't matter. And I think in a world where a lot of us are stuck in environments where the odds are stacked against us, trading is the one way out. There are other ways. I mean, online businesses are fantastic. I run a lot of those, have always run a lot of online businesses. And I've done that predominantly. My main reason for always choosing that is not having to be geographically limited by where I earn my income. So I've always had online businesses that earn me income from all over the world. The problem with business, and I still love business, I mean, business is still a passion of mine, but the problem with business is you're highly dependent on other people. Trading is me up against the market. And well, I say me up against the market. I think that's oversimplifying. It's me and my capital up against the market. And I think it's important to say that because without capital in this game, you're dead.
When you were just doing businesses and making money through a business,
Yeah.
I always felt the possibility that anything could happen. One day we could be homeless. Anything could happen, you know. Although we were very comfortable, anything could happen. But Forex has taken a little bit of that fear away, because if you have capital and you go to the market, I've seen that if you find the right trade, you're able to make money. So it's given me kind of peace of mind.
I think for me, especially the pressure on a man to provide for his family, that is probably the thing that has changed the most for me. And I'm quite emotional about it, because when I tell people that I've been successful in business, people say, "Oh, but we can't see the success. You've never lived the success." I mean, I sold a business at the age of 31 for 7 figures, and nobody knew about it because I took that money and I put it away somewhere safe. I retired my parents. I helped some people out that were in my life. And I got back to business, because what hit me after 4 days of retiring, I literally retired for 4 days. What hit me wasn't the lack of purpose or something to do. It was fear. I've made this money, and it was a lot of money, but like, what happens if the money goes? I've got to go make money again. And unfortunately, and I say this in retrospect, I was at a stage of my life where I knew how to make money, but I didn't know how to amplify money. So I'd become really, really good at making money. And had I had the acumen back then when I made that money to be able to take that money to the markets and work the money, then I would have probably been at ease. But because I didn't know how to do that, and I was reliant on investment advisors and outside advice, my fear model kicked back in, and I went straight back into business. 'Cause I'm like, okay, I spent 10 years developing a great idea. I built this business. I sold it. What now? I've got to get back to earning. And every business I've built, it's a constant theme. You have this exciting idea that you start with. You get the ball rolling. You get people interested in it. People start buying in. And then the business starts to grow. And for the first while, there's a little bit of money. But then you find to grow, you've got to put money back into that business. And then all of a sudden, you go from a position of it's small and it's making money to it's big but making no money. And then to get to the next phase. And so there's these moments of having and not having in business. And it's a constant. Every couple of years, you've got money, then you don't have money. I mean, I'll never forget, there was 1 year where I was running my business in the States. And it was the first year that I did, it was my biggest year that year. It was my first 6-figure year. And I had no money in the bank. All of my money that Christmas, I'll never forget that Christmas, all of my money was sitting in between suppliers and clients. And I was stuck in the middle with an empty bank balance, having to pay staff, having to pay bonuses, having to pay rent. And that's the journey of an entrepreneur. It's an incredibly difficult journey. And so I always tell people, when you make it in business, you've got to take that money, you've got to lock it up as quickly as you can. You've got to get it invested, and you've got to make sure you secure that money for future income. You've got to derive passive income out of it. What trading has given me is it bypassed all of that and taken me straight to the income. And I don't think I would be a successful trader without the business journey, because a lot of the way I trade and how I apply thinking in the market has a lot to do with the business acumen. But having said that, what Forex has given me is that I don't have to go and find somebody to sell a product to. I don't have to set up a marketing channel. I don't have to worry about, where am I going to get my money from? I know where my money is at. It's in the gold market. I just have to go there every single day. I have to pay attention. I have to follow rules. I have to follow discipline, and I will make money. And that to me is the most liberating thing ever, because it's now a case of I don't have to leave my home to go and feed my family. I can take that with me anywhere I go. So business, very, very, even my internet businesses, very geographically limiting in some degree, right? You are collecting payments there, so therefore you're beholden to that country for taxation. You are, got majority of your customers in this area. You have to have customer support in that time zone. There's a lot of factors that play into running a business. Even if you say, okay, it's an internet business, I can live and move around anywhere. There is an element of truth to it, because what you've done is you've freed yourself up geographically, but you haven't actually freed the income up. Because what you'll find is, even with most online businesses, most of your income is going to be concentrated to maybe 2 or 3 very specific geographic locations. Maybe country, maybe city, maybe province. And so for me, what trading has given me, it's just given me this total and utter peace of mind that no matter where I am, I have the ability to earn money.
You mentioned taxation.
Yeah.
How does that affect you as a trader? Because how does it affect your lifestyle as a trader?
Well, again, I can't speak for other people. I can only speak to what makes sense to me. I believe that the single greatest eroder of wealth is paying tax. And I believe that particularly income tax is a form of slavery. So I don't have anything against a consumption-based tax. If you want to drive the Lamborghini, pay Lamborghini tax, right? But we are punishing people for earning money. And then we wonder why we don't have a high savings rate around the world, because people are not encouraged to save money because they're taxed on that income anyway. And so they may as well spend it and figure out a way to maybe, avoid a bit of tax through spending. My view is a little bit different. I want to go where I'm treated best in terms of taxation. And it's extremely difficult to do that with normal money, like business money, an income if you're attached to a job. What trading gives you is the ability to go anywhere in the world where you're treated best, and go seek out the jurisdictions that are going to welcome you in, that are going to tax you at a very low rate, and offer you significant benefits in those environments. So, as an example, I think South Africa is probably one of the worst places to be as a forex trader. There are a couple of other as bad, but South Africa is one of the worst. You are taxed into oblivion, in addition to which you don't get very much in return, and you're not really dependent on the infrastructure to make that money. You're not using the roads, you're not using infrastructure other than the internet connection. And so in South Africa, you can very realistically pay upwards of 50% tax on your earnings. And so it doesn't make sense. If you make it in forex trading and you're in a country that is taxing you to death, there are many other countries that would welcome you with open arms because they want your inflow of capital.
Since you've become profitable as a trader, do you feel like we have had to change the people around us? I'm talking about friends, I'm talking about family. Some things have evolved naturally, and there's some things we have intentionally changed. Why do you feel that is?
So it's a difficult question for me to answer, because I always think, okay, I'm done now. Like I always get to the stage with people where I think, okay, I've got rid of everybody who was a problem, I've cleaned up, and then there's still more to clean up. I recorded the 8 pillars of wealth inside the Money Tribe to teach people the process that I've gone through to get rid of negative energy, to get rid of negative people, to create the life we've got. And I think at the end of recording that series, I'm like, okay, I actually don't have much more of this left. I cleaned up my life, but yet somehow the universe every year delivers another cleanup for me. And I don't think it's so much a case of me actively at this point seeking to move people sideways in my life or out of my life. I think it's just happening very naturally. I mean, over the last 2 years, my mom and dad passed. I have no regrets over their passing. I don't I don't particularly miss them in any way. I didn't have the best childhood. But it's a box that's checked for me. It's one less thing to me to worry about. Taking care of aging parents, it's now off the list. The stuff that I had with them, it's off the list. I can move on. There are certain friendships that I've outgrown. And I think this is what happens when you start to... people think it's about the money, but I think you outgrow people because your thinking changes and your outlook changes. And it's part of the reason why I'm working so hard on myself, because I realize that I now have very few friends left in the world. I've got to a point where I had an extreme amount of friends. I had a lot of people in my life because of sport, because of business, and I've outgrown pretty much most of those relationships. And I'm at a point now where I realize the friendships that I want aren't in the rooms that I'm from and aren't in the rooms that I'm currently in. And so I need to get into new rooms, which means I need to elevate. So I think people will see a change in me over the next while and go, oh, he thinks he's better than everyone else. But this is the way I give the example. And I think we were talking about this the other day. I was saying, if you grew up on the street, you have to walk a certain way, carry yourself a certain way as a form of protectionism against the world. Even the language you use has got to, I mean, if you're in the hood, you're going to use hood language. They're not going to understand the Queen's language in the hood. In the hood, you've got to hood it. But the moment you go into Buckingham Palace and you're sitting with the Queen, you need to adjust, you need to adapt. Otherwise, you don't fit into that world. And so I think what is happening in my life right now is I'm going through probably one of the biggest elevations I've ever been through in my life. And it's a quiet, silent, on my own elevation. I think even you guys as family are not necessarily completely partial to what's going on with me. I think you see it. I think you see the stuff I do every day. But inside of me, I know the man I want to become. I've always known the man I want to become. And a lot of people will look at me because I've got the money and look at me because I've got the wife and the kids and I'm traveling the world and go, he's made it. And I haven't made it. I'm only just getting started. I want more. I want to be better than I was. I've got to this level from where I was, and I know I can go so much further. And so I think that progression of losing friendships is just a very natural shedding. It's like a snake shedding its skin. That season has come and that season has passed.
You know, you said it's not about the money, but when I'm sitting and thinking about it, I feel like we think it's not about the money. But like from my perspective, if the money wasn't in the bank, people's behavior changes when they know you have money, right, around you. So if people know you have money, they start asking for money or they start asking for favors. It changes the people around you, and then it changes your reaction to them. So I think it definitely has something to do with the money, because we've been in that position. The more you make, the more you asked.
I think, Bab, there's another side to that. You've experienced, probably for the first time, I've experienced before, where I've made large sums of money. I didn't tell people about it, but people could definitely sense it by the cars I was driving and how I was spending. And I started to get people asking me for money. You've now witnessed it for the first time. You've now seen people asking us for money. People close to us asking for money. And I think that's one element. I think the other side to it is, when you get money, you have a choice what you do with that money. There is a small group of people, generally speaking, who will elevate themselves. They'll educate their kids better, they will dress better, they will learn to speak better, they'll take on etiquette classes, they'll elevate. Some people will Gucci everything. By the way, if you go look at Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Rolls-Royce, Mercedes-Benz, and you go and have a look where most of those products are being sold, it's in Africa. It's a problem. And I preach this inside the Money Tribe. I'm trying to make people, as painful as it is, to see that reality, because we're getting the money, but we're not elevating. I think what has happened with us, we have come into an extreme amount of money and an extreme amount of freedom. And as a result of that, we are naturally elevating. I don't think it's just a case of somebody coming to you and asking you for money. I think what happens is, I don't want to say it's snobbery, because that's the wrong thing, but I think you almost, you start leaning a little bit towards snobbery because you're like,
That's how it's read.
that's how it's
That's how
read.
it's read.
But I've now elevated myself to a point of view. I'm not going to act like this anymore. I mean, I look back now on my social media videos and I'm quite embarrassed. I'm embarrassed about the way I speak. I'm embarrassed about the way I talk. I'm embarrassed about the people I engaged. But I'm not gonna shun it because it was part of my journey. I want that there's a history, and I want that to be a testament of who I became. But I think it's natural that when you get money, you start taking care of yourself. You buy some better clothes. You maybe do a facial more often. You're gonna have your toes done. Your hair's done more often. But along with that comes a whole bunch of other things. You start entering into rooms where you feel more comfortable around people who are softer spoken, who aren't shouting and screaming and carrying on like a raving bunch of lunatics. There is a reason why I'm allergic to where we've come from. And I say that from where we were at to where we've come from as a country. I'm not proud of what South Africa is. I'm not. If you travel the world, and I really want everybody to hear this, I'm not proud of what South Africa has become. When I go around in other countries and I see how well-mannered and well-behaved people are, and I'm the badly behaved person because I'm too loud and I'm too obnoxious, that makes me want to be a better person. What we have is we have a situation where people have, they've popularized that kind of behavior. And social media has done that as well. Social media is about who can get the most likes, who can draw the most attention. It's not become about how do we elevate. And I'll give you a great example. There is a brand that you and I love.
Yeah.
And we stumbled on this brand through a very niche creator who makes us want to elevate by the way he speaks, by the way he conducts himself, by the rooms that he gets into. We should always be aspiring to be more, and it's incredibly difficult to be around people who don't aspire to be more. People want the more money, but they don't want to use that money to grow. Since I've known you, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I've watched you study etiquette. You went to a private school. You didn't have the benefit of an upbringing where that kind of behavior was normalized. You had to learn etiquette through TV. You had to learn it by studying other people. You had to learn how to use a knife and fork by being around the right kind of people and watching the right kind of television shows. And so I curate my social media today based on who I want to become. And I think when you're doing that, babe, it's very, very hard to be around people who are not trying to do the same.
We're not trying to
And that includes direct family members. I find it incredibly tiring to be around people who are not elevating.
Do you ever feel guilty about taking a break or a vacation, like putting your computer off, shutting down?
That's never going to happen. Not in a million years is that
You
ever
have
going to happen.
to.
It's never going to happen. I will never not work. I will work less.
A vacation. Come on.
I'm living a vacation. I get to wake up every day, do something I love.
I was afraid you're going to
Be in
that.
the company of somebody I love, be in the company of my family who I love dearly, travel the world. I get to swim in a different beach every other month. I get to see different people, different cultures. What more do I need? I can tell you, comfort is the enemy of progress.
You're definitely speaking from a male's perspective.
No, I'm saying I don't want to work 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
And have my eyeballs bleeding from staring at a computer screen anymore. Those days are beyond me. I will continue to grow businesses because I love business, but I will use the younger generation's energy to build those businesses. I have the money, they have the energy. Before, I didn't have the money, but I had the energy. So I had to apply the energy. So I never, ever want to wake up and not work. But my definition of work is it's not work for me. I need something to apply my mind to. And I will tell you this, you know this. If I don't have a problem to solve, you become my problem.
Oh my gosh, let's not unpack that. So do you think that for a normal person, if you feel like you constantly need a vacation, you're probably not doing the thing you love? Would it be fair to say that?
Without question. I think if you are constantly fatigued, constantly tired, and you don't feel motivated to do the thing you're doing the wrong thing. I get tired, I get fatigued, but then I take a break, and 2 days later,
Can't wait to get
I
back.
cannot wait to get back. The moment my brain starts ticking over, I know I need to go back to work.
Thanks for joining us here in beautiful Mauritius. We hope you enjoyed that episode. Please remember to drop us a comment and hit that subscribe button